آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Even though the topic or the theme that I was covering with the hadith was issues of marriage, it's becoming increasingly difficult to talk about these things. With the imaging or the images that are emerging from Rafah and from the northern parts of Gaza, with starving children or children who are standing with empty plates and bowls waiting for something to eat. It just becomes, I don't think it's something that we've seen in modern history before. Now, don't get me wrong, stuff like this has happened before, and historically, people have starved to death, and this is not new. But I don't think there was the availability of information sharing in real time as there is with this one. People would go through a famine or go through some sort of disaster, and then others would find out about it later, which allowed them to process it in a certain manner. When you are literally watching them in real time, running from the sound of gunfire and towards what they think may be a caravan of food of some sort, being treated like animals, it just leaves you in a state of just unprecedented sorrow and sometimes even a little bit of anger, if not a lot of it. And I don't know exactly I'm actually dreading this upcoming Friday, because I'm not sure exactly what it is that I'm going to share with people, because these pictures, not only are they continuing to emerge, but they're getting worse. And if anything, it seems like the world is steadfast on moving forward with this with starving a group of people, just starving the strip, or until I'm not sure exactly what the end game for them is. All I know is that what's happening today in the Holy Land is breaking so many rules and is a precedence for so many acts, so many atrocities. And at the same time, it's normalizing a certain level of brutality towards our people that it makes me scared for what's coming in the future. A rule is a rule until someone breaks it publicly and no one says anything. And then it's no longer a rule. It's not a law anymore. And the moment it's broken and nothing happens, I mean, there's no retaliation, there's no actual accountability to those who break the rule, then that ceases to be a rule. For example, you don't bomb hospitals or you don't raid hospitals, even if all of the terrorists of the world were inside a hospital, you still don't bomb a hospital or raid one. You don't starve people. You don't bomb civilian-based structures. These things you just don't do, because there's a general understanding. There was a code of ethics that existed even during the barbaric times. Even during the barbaric times, there was some degree of there were agreements. You didn't kill the messenger. Certain things you didn't do. You just didn't do it. You had really people lacked sometimes the basic amount of rahmah and ethics in general. But there are certain things that they didn't do, and now we're seeing all those things happen in real time, live, and it's as if it's not. I don't know. Are we the only people who have access to this image, or what is the rest of the world actually looking at, and why is it that this is not? Regardless of all of it, the degree of advocacy, or the amount of advocacy that the Muslim Ummah has put towards this issue is not remotely enough. And as I kind of pointed out at the beginning of this musibah back in October, that what they bargain on is time, of chronicizing the issue a little bit, making it dragging it out a little bit, long enough so that people get bored and want to go back to their normal lives, or want to think of something different. And at that point, they can actually escalate the amount of harm, and nothing will occur because people got bored. And that's where we have to kind of revise our strategy and go back and think a little bit, that this is not actually being resolved. If anything, it's actually getting worse. What we're seeing today is, the last time I saw this was in my hometown, Syria. This is 10 years ago or less. The last time I saw this, and that's understandable that it wasn't, people didn't move too much towards it. It was not as international news as this is. I mean, this is not something that wasn't covered as deeply. It was not an international tabled topic that everyone was discussing, because there was no support to the regime that was doing it. It just, there was no will to stop them, so they just did it. But in this situation, the amount of coverage that this is getting, and the number of times this topic is being tabled everywhere, and the amount of support that those who are doing it are getting is extremely concerning. And we have to start thinking a little bit broader in terms of how we want to address this problem, and in terms of accepting our responsibility in the advocacy for our brothers and sisters over there. And I'm honestly at loss for words, and at the same time very unsure what it is that needs to happen at this point. I just don't know. I'm unclear, and I don't know if anyone does, but I do know that without these discussions and these conversations, without involving those who do or do have an idea of what it is that needs to happen, then this will continue to occur, because this cannot go unchallenged, and it cannot occur without there being accountability for those who sat around and watched, especially those who claim to represent people. I mean, we can't speak on behalf of other countries, but we do live in Canada, and the officials in our country who decided that this was what's occurring is not actually worth their time or their voice or their advocacy or their upset, or they have to feel it, or they have to hear it, and that has to come through our organized efforts in terms of changing, of moving that needle and changing the norm. And I just wanted to share that with you because I don't know what else to talk about. I'm going to omit the hadith about marriage today, and just leave you with these thoughts, and leave you with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that's narrated by Imam al-Tabarani في الأوسط, and al-Hakim in the Mustadrak, where he says ﷺ, narrated to us by Anas, ما آمن بي من بات شبعان وجاره إلى جنبه جائع وهو يعلم. He said ﷺ, the person who goes to sleep at night with a full stomach, with his neighbor beside him hungry, and he knows about it, has not believed in me. I mean, cannot claim that they've accepted my teaching. They can't claim that they've followed me in any form or manner. They're not a mu'min. They can't claim that they're a part of my ummah if that is what they are doing. And I can't think of a hadith that's more relevant to what we're seeing today than that one. I hope that was of benefit to you. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين. جزاكم الله خير. بارك الله فيكم. Inshallah, I think the halaqa or the course of Sheikh Sabawi, I believe starts in a few minutes after sunnah, so please pray your sunnah and then allow for him to start his session. You're welcome to attend it, inshallah, if you'd like, and learn